this is Kevin, and welcome back to another anime review. And today I'm going to be sharing my thoughts on Evangelion 3.0 plus 1.0 Thrice Upon a Time, otherwise known as Shin Evangelion, which I believe translates to the final Evangelion, and of course that's what it is. It's the fourth and final movie in the rebuild of Evangelion film series. You see the other three behind me there. I have them all displayed. Hopefully you guys like that. But this is a very controversial movie because I feel like there's a lot of people who really like this movie, and there's also a lot of people who really hate this movie. And I'm going to make the case to be in the middle because there are parts of this movie that I love. However, there's parts of the movie that I can't stand, particularly with the CGI, which I mentioned that in all my other reviews of the film series here, how it's progressively gotten worse. Like, the first movie, the CGI looked great. The second movie, my only exception was the fact there was a few background characters that had, like PS2 level graphics, and they didn't even have faces. Like, there was no eyes or mouth or anything. They're just back there with expressionless faces. And then the third movie, there was some good and bad because the Evas looked great. They were absolutely fantastic looking. But the angels and some of the effects were just like, I don't know, the CGI. I hate when they always blend the two, but a lot of these modern anime series and movies do that. They like to blend the two. And you would think that as time progresses here, CGI would get better, but, well, we'll get to it with this movie, especially the final act. But another criticism is the fact that the first three movies came out one after the other. You had the first one came out in 2007, the second one 2009, the third one 2012, and then this one came out in 2021, last year. So you had a 9-year gap in between 3.33 and this one. And again, with the fucking title, 3.0 plus 1.0. I know all the other titles are convoluted. 1.11, 2.22, 3.33. So why couldn't they call this one 4.44? Or better yet, why couldn't they just call them like 1, 2, 3, 4? That would have been a lot better. But, it's Evangelion. It has to have its little flair to it, right? So either way, you have that. And there's also the controversy with the fact that Amazon Prime swooped in there and bought the rights and also changed the voice acting. And actually, those three Blu-rays I have back there, those are the Funimation dubs and the Funimation releases. I think they're all out of print, except the third one might still be in circulation. The first one is definitely extremely rare to get. Just look up on eBay how much it is. But, Amazon came in there and actually redubbed those three movies. So if you were to go on Amazon Prime, which is where you find them now, because they're not going to reprint them. I don't think they'll ever have the fourth one as a physical copy either because of that. They're like, no, you got to have your subscription forever. You'll owe nothing and like it. So, they did bring back Shinji. Spike Spencer plays Shinji. You have Allison Keith as Misato. You have Tiffany Grant as Asuka. John Swayze, of course, returns as Genda, which is interesting because, of course, you're going to have Shinji, Misato, and Asuka because they all voiced those characters in the initial series. But if I'm not mistaken, John Swayze is just exclusive to the movies. So he did such a great job, they had to bring him back. And they actually brought back Amanda Wynn Lee and replaced Brenna Palencia, which definitely is an improvement there. No offense to Brenna Palencia, but, Amanda Wynn Lee voiced Rey in the initial anime series and just has, like, a better voice for that character, a more creepy tone, and we'll get to that in the review, like the questions he asked and like her purpose in life and all of that, but definitely portrays the character a lot better in my opinion. They brought back Felicia Angel, who voices Sakura and only appeared in the third movie, so yeah, why would you recast her? But what really pissed me off is Mari. They recast Mari, who had Trina Nishimura was the voice actress for 2.22 and 3.33. And she was fucking awesome. And I liked Mori in the second movie. The third one, again, she's kind of there. She's like the fan servicey character. And then, more related to the plot in this movie, I guess, at the end. But to recast her, and like the whole thing of her voice actress in those two movies was she was so charismatic, doing her sing-songs and like her back and forth with Asuka. Like, okay, prickly princess, like it just great. And this one, I feel like, massive downgrade. I don't know why they have to do that, but they did that. All the other side characters they recast as well. Toji and Kensuke return and they're recast. So I don't know, man. Fucking Amazon. And again, like I said, just the fact that it's on Amazon Prime, they're going to do this shit where it's like, oh, you'll never get the physical copy. You're just going to stream it forever, but fuck them. Anyway, I should get to the review at this point, 5 minutes in. So it starts off right where the third movie ended, actually, there's a scene before that, but, how the third movie ended, you had Asuka, Rey, and Shinji all walking across the land to get back home, I guess. They were fighting in Nerve HQ, and you had Karu, died. They sacrificed Unit 13, which was actually the 13th Angel, etc., etc. And then the near third impact occurred again, and all sorts of crazy shit. But really, the first opening scene is there's Misato's group, Wheelay, who pilots the ship the Wunder, and they're actually going around using what's known as L containment fields, and they're trying to purify the land back to normal. And Gendo actually talks about this later on. I'll just mention it now, but he talks about it later on in the movie when we meet him, which isn't until like the second or third act. But he mentioned that the second impact, destroyed the sea and turned, the blue water to, the red water, the blood water. The third impact destroyed the land, and you see everywhere they go, the land, unless they have the L containment field, the land is turned to red, and it's all like death and decay. And then he says that the fourth impact will purify the soul, and that's what they wanted to do in the movie. That's what they did in the movie End of Evangelion, where everyone died. So that's what Gendo wants. So, as time has progressed, because remember, this is 14 years later, and they have the technology to purify the land, so they're putting up all these L containment fields, and they're in Paris. And as they're doing that, of course, there's what's known as the Infinity Avas, which is like a cross between Avas and Angels controlled by Nerve. Again, how the fuck is Nerve controlling this? Because all that's left in Nerve is Fuyutsuki and Gendo. How do they have the resources or the manpower to create these things? But I digress. They have them all created. I don't know, Sele's probably helping them from the dead as well. But, Mari's battling them, and doesn't have the same charisma like Mari in the second movie and in the third movie. Like in the second movie, she had her sing-song, and then she's like, just fucking die, screaming at the top of her lungs. And then, in the third movie, when my eyes on the target, I never miss, like her little cute sing-songs. And here, it just falls flat in my opinion. But, like I said, her Ava looks great as far as the animation with the CGI, but again, she's fighting hundreds and hundreds of these, almost like the mass-produced Avas from the End of Evangelion movie. And, like, in the earlier movies and in the initial series, it's always one-on-one fight, so I don't know, they just have to, like, one-up it and have all these multiple battles. That's why they had to do the CGI, I guess. But anyway, they prevail. There's actually a cool scene with Mari grabbing the Eiffel Tower, of course, because they're in Paris, and impaling the core of one of the Avas, so that's pretty cool. And they purify it. And, then it cuts over to Asuka, Rey, and Shinji, who are walking across the land. And eventually they get picked up by Kensuke, right? And we didn't see Kensuke or Toji at all in the third movie. And they're taken to this village that has remained unharmed because of the L containment field. And, there's a scene with Toji, how he meets Shinji. Oh, it's great to see you again, Shinji. Really great heart-to-heart moments, which I feel like we missed out on that. Because in the initial anime, there's more of Shinji bonding with Toji and Kensuke than there was in this. There was that one scene where they went to the aquarium in the second movie. But, Toji is the doctor. 14 years have passed, of course. He's married as a kid now. He's actually married to Hikari, who was the young girl in the class of them as well. I think she was the class rep, if I'm not mistaken. But, he and there's also a scene where he gives Shinji a sweatshirt, and it's the same fucking sweatshirt that Toji was wearing in the initial series. So I like that. They're trying to figure out what's going on. Rey is asking all sorts of questions, like, what's that? And she finds a cat underneath the train tracks. And she's like, this is strange. This is so weird. Because this Rey, which we learned, I thought this was like the third Rey, because in the initial anime series, there was 3 Reys. Of course, there's even more than that. But we get up to Rey number 3. But it turns out this is Rey number 6. And, Rey can't survive out of the LCL for long because she's a clone, so she needs that to survive, doesn't even need to eat. That's why in the second one, there's kind of foreshadowing at this in the second movie, because she says she doesn't eat meat, she doesn't need to. I like this part of the movie. There's almost like a slice of life, like, chill moment where they're all just chilling in the village. You have everyone with their coping mechanisms, right? Shinji doesn't even speak to anybody. He's, like, curled as a fetal position, doesn't want to do anything, and actually notices Asuka. Asuka has the DSS choker, which was on Shinji, and then Karu took it off him, put it on himself, and that's what killed Karu in the last movie. And he sees Asuka wearing it, and he starts, like, throwing up because he's so repulsed by it. He thinks, like, Asuka will die. And like, all their coping mechanisms with, like I said, Shinji just moping in the corner. Rey actually being the most, like, willing to change, in that she goes and helps in the village. There's, like, this montage of her helping the old ladies plant plants in the field and harvest things and do all sorts of stuff, and then even bathing in the hot springs with them. You have Asuka, who's just walking around, with no shirt on half the time. I don't know if that's like the fan service stuff or just like the coping mechanism, because, she's just there all depressed. Like, there's a moment where Ray's like, how come you're not helping in the fields? Like, how come you're not helping the village? What are you, stupid? I'm here to protect the village. And that's also an interesting point. I just thought of that now, because Ray goes to see Shinji, because Shinji's like just away from everybody. He leaves to isolate himself, and Ray goes over to Shinji and says, are you protecting the village too, like Asuka? And Shinji just melts down. I'm not protecting anybody. Everything I do just falls apart. I can't do anything. And really a great moment there, great scene there. And, Asuka also has this moment too. I forget the quote exactly, but she says, like, you're so pathetic, you can't even bring yourself to die. You're too weak to even kill yourself, but you hate yourself. Like a really fucked up line there, but absolutely true, because, Shinji is weak in that regard, but he's overwhelmed with grief and guilt for all the things that have happened in his life. I mean, with the near third impact, wiping out all that, destroying everything, and, the Karu that he met in the last movie, him sacrificing himself so that Shinji can live on, and also the fact that he almost killed Asuka in the second movie. So Shinji is faced with a lot of grief. But anyway, it goes on, and then there's a part with Kensuke where he takes Shinji, around, and Kensuke's like the handyman. He's looking at the L containment field. They actually see like what they call the Wanderers, and there are these Evas that just spring up out of the ground and are wandering around. But they don't attack it because of the L containment field, and Kensuke says, this is brought to us by Misato, and then he brings him down to a bunch of scientists, and he's like, I want you to meet someone, Shinji. So he shakes the kid's hand, and he says, I'm Ryoji Kaji. And it's Kaji and Misato's son, which is a great moment, and they take a picture together, and it's just awesome. I wish we would have got more of that, because we just got the one scene, almost like a little cameo scene of that. I wish we would have learned more about that, but nonetheless, it's cool to have that moment. And as things are winding down with this particular moment in the story, Rey is noticing that her hand is starting to like disappear, and she says, I can only survive in the LCL. So She greets Shinji. We're in a secluded spot where he normally is, where he's opened up a little more. You see him, he's fishing now. And Rey gives him back the Walkman. And as she's doing that, she says she wants to harvest the rice, she wants to stay in the field, she wants to be the guy she likes, and all these things. And then she says, goodbye, Shinji. And I was really taken aback by this the first time I saw it, but you hear like the pop, that you heard in the end of Evangelion when they all turned to LCL. It almost sounds like a gunshot. And you hear the pop, and Rey turns into primordial soup and dies. And really gut-wrenching moment right there. Like, I just watched it the first time, even watching it again for this review, it gets chills down your spine. And the first time I saw it, I was like fucking shocked, because I knew they were foreshadowing that Rey was something was gonna happen to her, her hand disappearing. But that scene, the sound effect, fucking sends shivers down my spine just talking about it. But Rey dies, and then Shinji starts crying again, overwhelmed with his grief that everyone he becomes close to ends up dying or is their life's in shambles because of him. It is pretty fucked up. But what happens is Shinji decides he's gonna go with Asuka, because Asuka's getting picked up by the Wunder to go back for the final battle against Gendo. And they actually, she tases him. It's like, okay, here's the rules. We're gonna tase him, and Shinji's actually like a prisoner in this. So why the fuck is he going? But anyway, they go there. And then again with Mari, there's like not the same charisma of this new voice actress, where she's like, how is their little puppy doing? Like referring to Shinji as a little puppy. And there's like the fan servicey stuff where they get a new Ava suit for the two of them, and Mari, she's completely naked because of course she's more bustier than all the other ladies. So we got that fun scene, and they got their new plug suits getting ready for battle. And you get some more stuff with Misato where she's like on the bridge, and of course she's looking at the watermelon seeds, which if you remember, that was Kaji's favorite hobby, was growing vegetables and plants and all the life. And the reason why he was doing that was because, with what happened with the second impact and life being destroyed, that was Kaji's coping mechanism to restore life and to make sure that life can go on, even if there was another impact. So, Misato's there coping with that, and they're getting ready for the final battle. And they have their ship, the Wunder, right? And as they're preparing for battle, it turns out that Nerve has like 3 other ships just like that, which again, how the fuck is that possible? Because we saw in the last movie, all that's left of Nerve is Fuyutsuki and Gendo, the 2 men, and Fuyutsuki's like an old man anyway. And, they're battling, and the CGI, it's hit or miss. It's not good at all. The only good part of the CGI is the Avas, Unit 2 and Unit 8. They look good, but the ships look terrible. I'm sorry, they really do. They don't look good at all. Fighting in space. I will say the fucking music is awesome. They have like a remix of the initial battle theme from the initial series, like bum 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 bum. Hopefully you know what I'm talking about. You just fucking search it if you don't know what I'm talking about. But it's like a remix version of that. They all prepare for battle, and it's pretty badass. They're fighting like these fucking things look like skeletons almost. I think, forgive me because I don't know. I think they're like modeled after something from Metal Gear Solid, one of those games. I think I remember someone saying that. So are we copying here, Anno? Like, what are you doing? But they look like these skeleton things that are fighting, and it's just Mari and Asuka, and you got the back and forth with Asuka, like, come on, Four-Eye Crony, let's go, and Four-Eye Crony Mari keeps giving Asuka new weapons. And they're wreaking havoc. And what they're trying to do, you got all this like occultic shit going on. You got the Black Moon, and that's where the Unit 13, or otherwise known as the 13th Angel, is still there, and they gotta take that fucker out before anything else goes on. Because we also learned that Gendo used the key of Nebuchadnezzar. He like fused it with himself to become a god, is what he says later. But they're trying to destroy this thing, and Asuka's there. But it turns out that it's actually Asuka's AT field preventing her from destroying the Angel. So, she got the eye patch on. And the reason why she has the eye patch was because in the second movie, when she was fused with the 9th Angel, with Unit 3, there's a part of the Angel in Asuka. So she takes off her eye patch, and like the fucking gruesome scene here where she like pulls something out of her eyes like a stick, and then it starts glowing, like glows all these different colors, and she turns into an angel now and is able to like destroy her own AT field. But what happens is her like soul gets consumed, and Asuka's pretty much killed, but she comes back. But anyway, and as all this is going on, like Mari's watching and in despair, like, no, princess, you won't be human anymore. And doesn't get defeated, but gets her limbs ripped off by the Infinity Avas. And then all hell's breaking loose, and then Gendo, is getting ready to get back in it. But before all that happens, they have a standoff with Gendo and Misato. And reminiscent to the movie End of Evangelion, where Ritsuko shoots Gendo. She does it again, shoots him like, remember I said he has like the Cyclops eyes in the third movie? Well, yeah, his sunglasses are like the Cyclops eyes, and gets shot. And you see like his fucking brain comes busted out of his skull, and he picks the brain up. And I gotta do like the weird factor, which there's more of that later, but the weird factor will never be topped like in the initial series. Like, I don't know, it was creepy, him picking off his brain off the floor and putting it back in his head, but I don't know, man. They'll never top the original End of Evangelion creepy shit. So anyway, he's like, I have fused, become one with God, and I will destroy all the gods, and everyone will die. His dastardly evil plan. So eventually he gets in Unit 13, and he goes into like the anti-zone, which is like the a different dimension. It's like, what the fuck, man? So he's there, and like his whole goal is to basically be one with Yui again, his wife. So that's always been his goal, but he's taking it one step too far. And this is what I keep saying: like, you want to be one with Yui, just off yourself. Don't bring everyone else along with you for this nonsense. So what happens is Shinji comes back out, and he's like, I'm gonna get in Unit 1. I gotta settle the score with this bastard, my douchebag father. I'm gonna beat him once and for all, and that's that. But before Shinji is able to go out there, because Misato agrees, there's like a little bit of uprising with her crew. You have the one chick, I don't even know her name, with the pink hair. She shoots at she threatens to shoot, but then doesn't shoot, and then Sakura shoots, and then Misato actually gets in the way. And then Shinji's like, well, fuck it, I'm going out there. And he puts the choker on, and overcoming his fear and his grief with that, puts that on, goes out there ready to go. And then Mari actually is going along as well, because she has to deal with Fuyutsuki. and there's a bunch of other Evas that, you know, Fuyutsuki has control of. So, you know, Shinji goes out there, and he's able to, because remember, there's the two spears. We had the Lance of Longinus and the Lance of Cassius. And I think Cassius meant like the Spear of Hope or something. Longinus is the name of the spear that like impaled Jesus Christ. You know, that's where they get these names from. So they're having a battle, and Shinji, you know, is finally battling his father, which a lot of people were hoping for this for years. And the problem with it is it looks like PS2 level graphics. It is so fucking bad. And they're having like this battle, and it's just a standoff because they're equal in might, you know, because, whoops, sorry, I bumped the table. But they're equal in might because the 13th angel is sort of just a replica of the first angel again. And they're having a standoff, and they keep battling in different areas that they've been, like, you know, the first episode from the initial anime, inside Misato's apartment, inside the school, where Shinji met Kaoru, all these stuff, and then you know, Gendo's like, we can't defeat this fight with our might. We must reason with words. You know, they have to have like their introspective talk, and it cuts over to Fuyutsuki and Mari, and they're battling, and Fuyutsuki essentially concedes defeat, and it's just like, oh, I just hope to see Yui again. And, you know, Mari has to fight like these three other Evas, and she combines, because remember, she's missing her limbs, so she combines with these other Evas, and at the end of the movie, she's like, Evangelion 8 plus 9 plus 10 plus 12. You know, it's like, what the fuck? Like, it's gonna have all these convoluted names, but Fuyutsuki calls Mari something else. Let me figure out the name, and let me pause this real quick, and let me see if I can find the name real quick. Yeah, Fuyutsuki calls her Mari Iscariot. Hopefully I pronounced that right, but I don't know what the fuck that was all about. All this deep war, I mean, maybe there's like manga and all this other stuff that elaborates on it all. But anyway, she defeats him, and you know, Mari, before all the fighting breaks out too, she's like, oh, I'll come save you, Shinji, when it's all said and done. And also, I glossed over the fact that before Mari and Asuka went out to battle, they actually spoke to Shinji, and basically Asuka was asking Shinji why, you know, she was going to punch him in the third movie, and then Shinji says, because I was indecisive about whether, you know, when she was trapped in Unit 3, whether to save you or kill you, and I did nothing, and I'm sorry, and he apologizes, and then Asuka's like, oh, you've really grown up, you know? You know, I liked you when I was younger. She adds that to him. So there was a good moment there. But anyway, as everything goes on, you know, there's an introspective with Shinji and Gendo. It's almost like a meta commentary where we learn that Gendo was, you know, an isolationist loser, and it wasn't until he met Yui that he was able to open up and could really express his feelings. And, you know, he met Yui. They were so in love. They had Shinji. In the initial anime, believe it or not, Yui's name was Yui Akari, and Gendo's name was Gendo Ayanami. That's where Rei Ayanami's name comes from. And when they were, like, in the midst of having the kid and figuring out if it was a boy or a girl, they said, you know, if it's a boy, Shinji, if it's a girl, Rei. So it's kind of weird. Like, normally, I mean, that's all kids. The men have the last name that it carries over. So I don't, what the fuck is up with Gendo? But, you know, it was an introspective. And then, of course, when Yui died, he was beside himself. He didn't know what the fuck to do. That's why he created the Rei clones, because he couldn't live with the grief of losing his wife, and that's why he cut himself off from Shinji, because without his wife, he didn't know, like, if he could really be a true father. And again, this is where this image comes up. Let me see if I can show you. Where is it? Here it is. So this image here, right in the middle, that's Yui, right? That's a little Shinji that she's holding, and then this chick to the right. You know, there's all these like images. This is the only one I could find, but there's all these images of this woman who looks like almost like a mix of Mari and Asuka because of the hair, and then you got the glasses. And like there's also pictures of like the scientists and Fuyutsuki and all them, and you see that the Mari lookalike girl again. So maybe that's why the Mari name comes from. With what the hell did Fuyutsuki call her? I forget. I got it right here. Let me say it. It's Mari Iscariot. So I don't know. Someone maybe leave a comment. I don't know what the fuck that came from, but anyway. Gendo concedes defeat, and then there's more introspective of like little Shinji like scolding Gendo, then Kaoru, and actually an introspective with Kaoru coping with Kaji, because you know Kaoru was the one who killed Kaji in a certain sense, and they have a scene where like Kaji is like the commander now, and he's like, oh, call me Ryoji, you know, and same thing like, oh, Mr. Nagisa, because that's Kaoru's last name, and I don't know, all these weird meta-narratives and stuff, which, you know, it has a certain closure, I guess. But after it's all said and done, what happens is, oh, I should mention too, they have, the giant Ray head, right, from the end of Evangelion, which this one looks like absolute dog shit. If you want to do the Ray head again, just do it like you did in the movie, in the movie End of Evangelion. This one looks like PS2 level graphics, looks like absolute dog shit, but they got to recreate that, so fucking hell. I don't know what their obsession is with the CGI. But anyway, Misato has her moment of glory where, she's wearing this, stern outfit all the time with her hair back and this hat on, and then she takes the hat off and lets her hair go, and it's like the same old Misato we knew, which 14 years later, I think Misato is 28 or 29, so you think she would look, she doesn't look any older than she did in the initial series, but she's like, oh, it's the way to go, and Misato is actually delivering Shinji a third spear, the Spear of Gaius, which will, save everything and restore everything to normal. So, yeah, Mari is actually the one to deliver the spear. And Shinji gets it, and then you get that song that I played at the beginning there, Voyager, which, Shinji actually says, Neon Genesis Evangelion. And then you get the song, it's a great moment there. And what happens is, because Shinji's going to, kill himself to reset everything, restore it all back to normal, but what happens is, because Yui's soul is Unit 1, right, she takes control, pushes Shinji out, so it's Yui impaling herself and Gendo, killing the two of them. They're together again, finally, and you see them, the way that they're, faces are next to each other, it's in a loving way. So you get closure in that, too, and then the world has been reset. It shows the village and the water turning back to normal, and then Shinji sitting on the beach. I had all these great clips to show you, and I was doing these test clips that I uploaded to private on YouTube, but I kept getting blocked by Studio Kara, so I can't show you guys. You're just going to have to watch the movie for yourself. But the ending, Shinji on the beach, and then slowly but surely it's turning into line art, and it looks fantastic. And then Mari comes in with Unit 8 plus 9 plus 10 plus 12 that fucking bullshit, and she's like, I'm here, Shinji, and oh, Miss Mari, and she says, goodbye, final Evangelion, come on, Shinji. And then it cuts to the present day. Everything's normal, and Shinji's at a bus stop, and you see across the way Rei and Kaoru are together, and then Asuka and Kensuke are together, and then Mari's embracing Shinji, and Shinji still has the choker on, and she takes it off, puts it in her pocket. What the hell is she gonna do with it? And they're like, let's go, and then they run off, and as they're running up the steps, it transitions into real people, the real world, So that's meta commentary. This is a fucking long video, I know, but there's a lot to talk about. This is a meta commentary on Anno's wife, from what I've been told, because essentially when Anno created the initial Evangelion series, he was depressed as all hell, and you can sort of see it here, and this is him years later overcoming his depression and grief. And I've heard from other people that Mari is essentially his wife that he inserted into the movie. That's why she's just kind of there in these movies. She's there as the glorified fan service. And, he can go off with his wife and be happy now that it's all said and done. Goodbye, final Evangelion. And they say this is the final movie, but, I hope that it's there's nothing more to add. But I'd like to see what happened in the 14-year time skip between 2.22 and 3.33. And from what I've heard as well, the final act, I mentioned the whole fight with Gendo looking like PS2 level graphics with the CGI, absolute dog shit in the big Ray head. That was apparently a last minute decision to change the ending, which is what the fuck, dude? Of all things, you should know what at least the beginning and end of your story is, and then fill in the blanks. But to not know how you're going to end it, I don't know, man. But overall, it's a mixed bag for me. Let me tell you, I watched this movie 3 times. The first time I saw it, I really liked it. I was just happy to get a new Evangelion movie. I really did enjoy it. The second time I watched it, it was a slog because it's 2.5 hours long. The other movies are the first one's an hour and 45 minutes, the second one's 2 hours, and then the third one's only an hour and a half. So this is 2.5 hours. The second time I watched it, it was a bit of a slog. I like the beginning part when they're all in the village, and that's comfy as hell. But what happens is the second half is one big final battle. The final battle should be maybe 25, 30 minutes, and it just went on for a long time. But the third time I watched it for this review, I really did enjoy it. Like I said, I liked the village part. I liked most of the battles. I did like the introspective. The ending, I don't know. I mean, how are you going to end the series, really? How are you going to end a series like this? I'm not really too sure. It is what it is. Overall, I'm satisfied of the whole thing. I'm so glad I went back and bought the collector's edition of Evangelion. That came out in December. Got to rewatch the series, and just because of rewatching it, I said, what the hell? I have the Blu-rays. Why not just rewatch the Blu-rays? And so I did, and this is a fun little retrospective to do, talking about it for the past few weeks. And, well, thank you guys if you watched this whole video. Fucking over 30 minutes, man. My God. And there have been people on YouTube who have done, like, 2-hour commentaries on the movie, which I probably left some stuff out, but I left that, like, the whole Asuka and Kensuke relationship, but whatever. It went on long enough. Thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned. I'm going to have a few other, like, anime reviews, which if you've been watching the live streams, you probably know what I'm talking about, what's due to come out. But I have another big, like, retrospective, sort of going to break it up into arcs I'm going to review and, try and release them on every Monday again until we get done with that series and all sorts of fun stuff on the channel. And, it was the end of Evangelion. So, thank you all for watching. It was a great time doing these videos, great time rewatching the series. I said I might have done a video ranking the movies. I'll just say it right now. My favorite is 2.22. My second favorite is 3.33. And then, I don't know. The third is like a tie between 1.11 and 3.0 plus 1.0. But definitively, my favorite is 2.22, and my second favorite is 3.33. So do it that way with what you will. And thank you all for watching. Let me know what your favorites are in the comments down below. And we'll see you guys next time. Have a great day.